like Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu has broken their silence about this massacre they team just had.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we're back with another exciting and action-packed video you won't want to miss. If you're a fan of the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark, and the latest basketball news, make sure you stay with us until the very end because today's story is one you definitely don't want to miss. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into it. The Indiana Fever shocked the New York Liberty with an impressive 108-88 victory. What started as a close and highly competitive battle quickly turned into a dominant second-half performance by Indiana. After the game, the Liberty's honest comments about Caitlyn Clark's performance left very little room for debate. Their words clearly showed their respect for Clark's incredible display and the huge impact she had on the game. What do you think? Were you surprised by how respectful the Liberty Stars were after the loss? Or do you think they were simply being professional with their post-game remarks? If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 93% of people watching still haven't subscribed. It's completely free, it only takes a second, and it truly helps support the channel. So have you subscribed yet? If you have, thank you so much for your continued support. Now, let's get back to the video.
Performance we saw from Caitlyn Clark today against a team that started off the season 9-0, a team that is the defending champions, might have been the greatest women's basketball performance we have ever seen. That might have been the greatest showing from a WNBA player we have ever witnessed. That was spectacular. The shots she hit in this game, y'all, were something like I've never seen any other women basketball player ever come close to hitting. There are NBA superstars out there that I have not seen have a game with
When you see greatness being recognized by other great players, the context matters, so let's set the stage. As the reigning champions, the New York Liberty came into this game sitting comfortably at the top of the standings, likely confident they could beat an Indiana Fever team that had struggled without its biggest star. Instead, they received a complete basketball lesson from a team that looked ready for the challenge. After missing 5 games because of injury, Caitlyn Clark wasted no time reminding everyone why she is considered the most important player in professional basketball. She finished with 17 points, 7 assists, and delivered enough highlight plays to fill an entire Netflix documentary. But here's the most impressive part. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart didn't make excuses or shy away after Clark and the Fever outplayed them. Instead, they gave Clark the credit she had earned and openly recognized the incredible performance she delivered.
Like we go on runs, they do as well. They're a great team. So I don't think it's defeating. I think obviously we know what a great shooter she is, and I think we just gave her too many easy ones. Obviously, she has great range, and her ability to get her shot off is really impressive, especially with missing some games. And so obviously on a personal level, I'm really happy to see her back out on the court, healthy, feeling good, because obviously it's important for them. But
after missing several games, Sabrina was quick to give credit where it was deserved when she was asked about Caitlyn Clark's performance. She praised Clark's shooting ability, her incredible range, and most importantly, her talent for making difficult shots even under heavy defensive pressure. That goes far beyond simple sportsmanship. It is the kind of respect that comes from recognizing true greatness, even when that player just outplayed your team on national television. But Sabrina didn't stop at praising Clark's skills. She also shared how happy she was to see Clark back on the court healthy again. She said she was genuinely excited to see her return because, while it was obviously important for the Fever, she was also happy for Clark on a personal level. Those are not the kind of words you use for someone you see as just another opponent. That is the kind of respect you show for a player you believe is truly special. The most revealing part of Sabrina's comments came when she admitted that the Liberty gave Clark too many easy looks. Take a moment to think about that. One of the greatest shooters in WNBA history was openly acknowledging that even slightly open shots become routine for Clark because of her remarkable shooting ability. Sabrina herself is known for making deep three-pointers from almost impossible distances, so when a player like her says someone has extraordinary range, people pay attention. Although she took a slightly different approach, Brianna Stewart's response was just as respectful. Stewart, one of the most accomplished players in the WNBA with multiple championships and MVP awards to her name, could have easily shifted the conversation by blaming the officiating or pointing to her team's mistakes. Instead, she honestly admitted that Indiana was simply the better team that night and accepted that the Fever had earned the win with the way they played.
With one another, Stewie's laughing. Caitlyn knows it's ridiculous. Just out there having a good time.
Throughout the game, Brianna Stewart's body language spoke volumes. When Caitlyn Clark drilled that incredible logo 3, Stewart was right there watching it happen. Instead of reacting with frustration or anger, she actually smiled and seemed to appreciate the shot. That is the kind of reaction you only see from someone who understands they have just witnessed something truly special, even if it came at the expense of their own team. Moments like that show genuine respect for greatness. As Stewart herself admitted, they had their moments during the game, but on that night, Indiana simply played better and earned the victory.
We had our moments. We got back into the game. We had that run when Stewie was guarding Caitlyn Clark, but then they executed well. And, we had so many breakdowns on defense, and they made shots. They really punished us on that end, making, 17 threes from 35. It was just too wide open. So
Stewart pointed out that their defensive breakdowns were not random mistakes. They happened because of the constant pressure Caitlyn Clark puts on every defense she faces. When one player can confidently pull up from well beyond the three-point line and make those shots look routine, every defensive game plan has to change. The Liberty simply could not find the right balance between stopping Clark and covering everyone else on the floor. That is what made the post-game comments even more meaningful, especially after so many media outlets tried to build a rivalry between Clark and other WNBA stars. Instead of feeding into the drama or downplaying Clark's performance, both Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart took the high road and gave honest assessments of what they had witnessed. Even the biggest critics cannot argue with what the numbers showed. The Fever shot an outstanding percentage from three-point range because Clark constantly drew so much defensive attention that her teammates were left with open looks, and professional shooters usually make those opportunities count. Stewart also admitted that the Liberty pushed themselves too hard trying to match Indiana's offensive firepower, and that pressure led to rushed shots and defensive mistakes. That goes beyond basketball. It shows how one player can completely control the pace and rhythm of a game. The coaches shared that same perspective. Sandy Brondello did not blame the officials or make excuses about missing players. She admitted that the Fever simply played better and made the shots that mattered most. When a championship-winning coach gives full credit to an opponent, it says a lot about how impressive that performance truly was. The Liberty's defensive numbers from this game were difficult to ignore. They allowed more than 100 points, including 53 in the first half, to a Fever team that had struggled offensively without Clark. That was more than just poor defense. It showed how one player's presence can completely reshape an opponent's game plan. Sabrina's comment that basketball is a game of runs was also revealing because she recognized that Indiana's dominance was not the result of one hot shooting stretch or a lucky night. She saw a team that stayed aggressive, maintained its energy, and executed its game plan from start to finish. That is the kind of praise reserved for consistent excellence, not temporary success. The shooting numbers told the same story. While the Liberty connected on only 20% of their three-point attempts, the Fever knocked down 17 three-pointers. That was not luck. It happened because Clark demanded so much defensive attention that everyone around her became a bigger scoring threat and received better opportunities. Stewart's comments about her team's resilience also showed how deeply this loss affected them mentally. Even though the Liberty pride themselves on competing at a championship level, they admitted they struggled to keep up with Clark's pace, decision-making, and execution throughout the game. The transition numbers made that impact even clearer. It says everything when the defending champions talk about needing to look in the mirror after losing to a team that many people had counted out without its biggest star. The Fever created 19 fast break opportunities, a huge improvement compared to their previous performances, and much of that came from Clark's ability to push the pace and create scoring chances before opposing defenses had time to get set. Stewart also acknowledged how difficult things became once the Liberty were unable to set up their half-court defense and get consistent stops. Sabrina Ionescu also admitted that when they could not create offense in transition, their entire game plan started to fall apart. Fast breaks created from defensive stops have always been a key part of the Liberty's identity, but when the opposing team keeps scoring with ease, that system simply cannot function. Clark did not beat them through scoring alone. She completely disrupted the way the Liberty wanted to play as a team. The free throw difference made the loss even more frustrating because, despite getting to the line more often, the Liberty still could not match Indiana's offensive efficiency. Stewart admitted they failed to attack the basket consistently, showing how Clark's perimeter threat made driving lanes much harder to find. One of the most interesting parts was how the Liberty kept adjusting their defensive approach in an effort to slow Clark down, but nothing worked. They switched coverages, experimented with zone defense, and even tried denying her the ball completely, yet none of those strategies made a difference. When a championship-level coaching staff runs out of answers, it says everything about the player they are trying to stop. Stewart's comments about team identity and remembering who they are suggested that this loss forced the Liberty to take a hard look at themselves. They entered the game as the reigning champions and the league's top team, but they walked away wondering if they were still the best when everyone was healthy. Their post-game remarks carried even more weight because both Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart have competed at the highest international level and know exactly what elite basketball looks like. Their praise for Clark means more because it comes from players who have faced the very best in the world and can easily recognize true greatness. Sabrina's specific praise for Clark's shot making highlighted the difference between a good shooter and a truly elite scorer. It is not just about making open shots. It is about creating your own opportunities and knocking down difficult shots with defenders all over you when the game is on the line. Clark displayed that ability throughout the night. Stewart also talked about communication breakdowns on defense, but those mistakes were not random. They happened because Clark's movement, court awareness, and quick decision-making constantly forced defenders into split-second choices that often ended badly. Even championship teams can look ordinary when one player consistently puts all 5 defenders in impossible situations. The discussion about the game's pace also showed how Clark's return completely changed the flow of the matchup. The Liberty are used to controlling the tempo, but Clark forced them into a much faster style that perfectly suited Indiana's strengths. Stewart's recognition of that showed her respect for Clark's ability to control the rhythm of a game. Clark's performance was not impressive only because she made shots. It was her shot selection and decision-making under pressure that stood out the most. Even when taking difficult attempts, she consistently made the right play at the right moment. Sabrina's recognition of that showed she understood the difference between players who are simply talented and those who are truly special. Clark's return immediately brought back the Fever's offensive identity, making the conversation about team chemistry impossible to ignore. Without her, players who had struggled to find their rhythm suddenly looked confident, comfortable, and in control. Stewart recognized that this was about more than one player putting up big numbers. It was about one superstar making everyone around her better. The Liberty's attempt to pressure Clark defensively ended up creating even more opportunities for her teammates. Stewart admitted they gave up far too many open looks, proving that Clark's impact goes far beyond her own statistics. The post-game interviews also showed how well prepared the Fever were for this matchup. They attacked specific weaknesses in the Liberty's defense and took advantage of situations that championship teams usually hide so well. Much of that success came from Clark's court vision and smart decision-making. Once she found her rhythm, every momentum swing seemed to favor Indiana. Even when the Liberty tried to make a run, the Fever always had an answer because Clark could create offense from anywhere on the floor. Stewart's acknowledgement of that reflected genuine respect for a player capable of changing the outcome of a game almost by herself. Beyond her scoring, Clark's 7 assists highlighted how effectively she elevated the players around her. Sabrina's evaluation of Clark's complete performance showed that she understood true superstars impact winning in many different ways, not just by scoring points. Both Stewart and Ionescu also understood what this loss could mean for the championship race. They recognized that losing to a healthy Fever team changes the conversation about who the league's best team really is. Defending champions do not make that kind of admission unless they truly believe it. Their post-game comments reflected a level of respect that went far beyond simple professionalism. Both players openly acknowledged that they had witnessed a performance that reinforced Clark's reputation as a generational talent. By giving credit where it was deserved, they showed the kind of sportsmanship that benefits the entire league. You know you have witnessed something special when the defending champions publicly praise the player who just outplayed them. Instead of making excuses, Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart showed respect for Clark's dominant performance. What did you think about the classy way they handled the loss? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this WNBA analysis, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're a true Caitlyn Clark fan, comment CC 100% below.